What is up, Game Brigade family? My name is Brian. You're watching Game Brigade, and today I thought it'd be fun if we had a little conversation about buying board games. So I wanted to start off and say that I do think this hobby is a ton of fun, and buying board games is part of the joy that I get from it. And this is not to rain on anyone's parade. And also, I need to have a preface to this video because I want to make sure people understand that this is obviously not for you if you're a person who can play every single game in your collection, or you have zero problems with anxiety or dealing with the pressures that comes with buying games. So I don't need anyone dying in the comments down below telling me how I'm wrong. This is a video talking about situations I've dealt with, situations I know that people are dealing with it right now out there in the world when it's in our hobby. And so maybe I'm just going to add my voice out there to say it's okay to not buy that board game. So I figured for this video, I was going to originally do like 10 top 10 or 10 reasons, but I think I'm just going to kind of go through different topics and say why I think it's something like might be a problem or something that you can do to avoid running into situations where you're buying too much. So for example, the first I want to talk about, and this is one that I had to deal with, is backing Kickstarter games day one, or biting into the FOMO. A lot of times you'll see a Kickstarter, you'll see all the content creators talking about it, everyone's hyping up about it, and you wanna get that game too. You know, it seems so cool. So we're backing at day one, and then we're watching all the campaign as it goes, as it drip feeds us. I want to say it's sometimes better to push the brake and say, hold on, let's wait, let's take a second and assess and look at the content, really dive into this game and find out it's something that you really need. Kickstarter games are very notorious for being large, bloated, rules incomplete, sometimes just mistakes throughout the game. So I already have issues with Kickstarters as it is, but it's very easy to buy games on Kickstarter when you wouldn't buy that game at, say, retail. An example of this is I remember going to my local game store, and they have Frostpunk right now. And I obviously skipped Frostpunk. I talked about in my Should You Back video years ago. But seeing the game on the shelf and the price that it was now, it's like, man, I would never buy this game in person when I see the price tag and you can actually kind of comprehend it. I don't know what it is about the Kickstarter mentality, but it makes it very easy to overspend and overbuy. And so when I talk about backing Kickstarter games and not backing day one, what I recommend is wait till the end of the campaign. I usually click remind me. I almost always click remind me, and I wait till the 48 hours. That gives me at least 2 weeks usually to really mull it over, think about it, see how it would feel before I backed. On top of that, I think it's also important to just back at $1. Many campaigns have options where if you back at $1, you get all of the benefits that the Kickstarter backers get, but you're not having to put an upfront cost into the campaign. That way, when the Pledge Manager launches, what the Pledge Manager is where you finalize your shipping address and you pay for shipping totals, and you can add on anything or change your pledge, but you can't ever really go down unless you get a refund. So you can always go up. You can always give them more money, but they don't want to give you money back if possible. So that's why I always recommend going at $1, because when the Pledge Manager comes out, you can actually really look at the campaign again and say, okay, what do I actually need from this campaign? Another thing is sometimes it helps with that FOMO, where then you're really realizing, I didn't actually need this game. This happened with my Leviathans that I just recently backed. I backed it at $1, and then when the Pledge Manager came out, I really thought, I don't actually think I need this game. So yes, I lost $1, but it's better than spending $200 on a game that I might not ever play. Now, the third level of this one, the even better aspect of this, is don't even back the campaign during the Kickstarter campaign and just wait for the pledge manager. There's usually about a 3 to 4 month period where a Kickstarter will have their pledge manager open where you're able to late back and get almost the same benefits as someone who backed it during the campaign. Yes, sometimes campaigns can be more expensive in the late pledge. That is a possibility. But it is a way to reduce the amount of things we're spending money on now and really being more insightful about what we're buying and waiting, because that'll give you more time to really process it. At that point, more campaigns have come up and more FOMO is driving up for these other games. So it really makes you wonder if this game is really for you or if it's just hype chasing you down. The next thing I want to talk about is buying games that are difficult to table. This is going to require a lot of introspection, looking at yourself, looking at your player group and your available members. How often do you meet? How consistently do you meet? This one's so difficult because everyone's player groups are so much different. Sometimes you have a partner you play with, so that can add into your availability playing time. But games that have different types of player counts or games that might have a theme or a type of gameplay mechanic that might not be one that your group likes to play are going to be harder to table. So, for example, Dueling Games. One of my favorite games right here is Company of Heroes, the board game. But that is usually a 1 versus 1 dueling game. But very rarely do I ever have the opportunity to play 1 versus 1 board games, because when I host board game night here at Brigade Studios, it's usually at minimum 3 players. So I don't get an opportunity to play these games as much as I used to. Or even games like Hoplomachus here, although I did get a chance to finally play Hoplomachus. So really assessing your backs and looking at who in your collection or who in your group is actually going to play this game, that will help you assess and make better backing decisions going forward. I want to also add on to this is don't back games or don't even buy games for other people. This one's hard because I get the idea. In our heart, we want to buy this game because we want this person to play the game. I talk about, I buy this dungeon crawler and I know my roommate from college, he loved dungeon crawlers. So maybe if I back this game, it's going to bring us back together and we're going to play board games again. Even though I haven't talked to him in a few years, it's okay. We're going to play that game. Or, my best friend, we play Company of Heroes in the board game or on the video game, so he's going to love this. So I'm going to back it because I know he's going to love it. It's so hard to get people who are not invested in the hobby to get as invested as you are in the hobby. So when you buy games for other people, you are setting yourself up for potential disaster. Now, I do think there are times where you can have super successes with this, where you back a game or you buy a game and your partner or someone that you wanted to introduce this to absolutely loves it. So I don't want to rain on anyone's parade. That's not what I'm trying to do. But I am trying to protect you or protect my friends from overspending, because I know I have. I have bought multiple games for my wife in the hopes that we would play games together, and it just doesn't happen enough to warrant the cost of some of these products. And I'm still not immune to this. I just recently did it with Septima, where I bought back the game because this game looks like a super cool game my wife would love. So I'm still doing it, even though I know the answer why I shouldn't be doing that. I should have added this next one with the first one because I think they kind of go hand in hand. And it's easy to get swept up in the marketing. This is especially true for Kickstarter campaigns because Kickstarter companies make incredible campaigns. Sometimes they don't make very good board games, but their campaign will be incredibly done. To the point where you're like, I never really thought of wanting that game, but I'm kind of interested in it. For example, the most recent one for me would be Marvel United Multiverse. I am not interested in Marvel United at all, but the campaign is done so well in the sense that I want to get all these things, all these cool items, that it makes me want to back the game. There's also other techniques that they will do that incentivizes you to break rule 1, which is backing day 1. Maybe they'll do a 48-hour early bird. Back the game right now within the first 40 hours, and we'll give you these clay tokens for free. It's normally a $5 add-on, But if you back now and pay $280 to buy our game, you'll get these $5 add-ons for free. You know, our brain doesn't really think of it like that because we just see free if we do it now. And so we want to buy it. Or back now and you'll get a free neoprene playmat. It's pretty good value there. But it's just techniques to try to get you to invest or to commit your money to a game. Sometimes, many times, before we even understand if this game is for us. So I want to just say beware of the marketing. And that even goes for other content creators in my space and in the board gaming space. We are probably just as guilty of marketing, even though we are sharing a love and a hobby and a passion that we have for these games. It is a part of the machine that is created within this sphere. And so being able to understand that is a big benefit and will help you in the long run to not backing or buying that game. So this is another one that I want to put a little asterisk on it. We do that all the time in my player group, by the way. We have asterisks. You know, whenever, like for example, we just played, we're gonna audible for a second. We played Viticulture tonight, and we had some rules that we forgot that I lost some victory points. So I told my friend, you know, this is an asterisk win. If you win this game, there's a big old asterisk because I think I should have had this game. Whatever. So this one will have an asterisk on it too because I'm not here again to poo-poo on anyone's parade. But I want to say, be careful of buying games that are too similar to other games in your collection because you're going to be diluting your collection overall. And I think I talked about this in previous videos where I talked about curating our collection and how good is not good enough. We only want to have great games in our collection, games that are going to be the best. So let's take, for example, a worker placement game. If I have some incredible worker placement games in my collection, buying and more worker placement games, am I going to want to play these continuously when I already have incredible games? There's going to be a lot of overlap there. Now, the caveat to this, of course, is how do you know if these other games aren't going to be good unless you buy them and try them? That's why sometimes going to conventions like Dice Tower West or something where you have an opportunity to play games without having to commit to buying them or renting them from your local game store. My local game store has a $2 option where you can rent a game for like a couple of days and then just bring it back. I think it's incredible. You don't have to buy the game. We can play it, see it. It's awesome. So I just want to say, you know, being careful of backing too many things that fulfill or that already are filled in your collection with a thing that fills that. You know, I think it's okay having a certain number. You know, that number is different for everyone. Maybe I'll have 4 area control games. I'm okay having 5 deck builder games because they all have maybe a different theme. But it's when I start getting the same stuff over and over and over. For example, I'm having games like Eclipse and Twilight Imperium, and they start to fulfill that same role for me. The only difference for me might be, you know, the game length. You know, Eclipse is obviously shorter, but I would prefer playing Twilight Imperium over Eclipse almost any type of, you know, any opportunity I could. If I could, I'd play Twilight Imperium. So that's about it on that one. I don't know. I feel like I'm rambling a little bit, so let's stay focused. This is something that I've seen a few people talk about when it comes to just in general. And, you know, when you're buying games, when you're buying, especially like sales, or you're backing Kickstarter games, ask yourself, if I could only own one of these 3 games, you know, which one would it be? You know, and ask yourself that quite often. If I could only own one of these games, or if I could only own 3 of these games that I'm backing, which one will it be? Because a lot of times I'll get to the end of the month and I'll have 9 games on Kickstarter that I'm pretty interested in. I can't back all 9 games. It's not feasible. So which of those, you know, can I whittle down? You know, Spire's End, you know, can I whittle that down? Well, Viticulture, I mean, this is probably better than Hokamalkus, right? I don't know. So you try to figure out where you're going to kind of divulge or separate these games, and it'll help you saving money and also being more intent and having more intent with the games that you are buying. So I think that's an important question to ask yourself. If I could only own one of these games, which one would it be and why? And then there you go. You've already made your decision for you and saving some money. This one is interesting too, because it's something that's so true. The Kickstarter games that you back are always going to be bigger than you expected. And they're going to take way more room on your shelf than you anticipate. And they become a burden and they become a pain in the ass. I love Kickstarter games. Don't get me wrong. I love getting the games, but I'm sitting here staring at Zombicide, Undead or Alive, and it's massive. It's got so many freaking boxes. It takes up basically 2 Calyx shelves of room up there. You know, I've got Oathsworn sitting up on top of my shelf. It's 4 massive boxes. These games are great games. They're fun to have, but you can only have so many before you're out of space, and then you have to start saying no to a lot more product because you have these games that are filling up the same space that 4 or 5 other games alone would fill. So I want to make sure, and this is especially true for campaign games. Campaign games are awful at delivering way too many boxes for you to manage and to organize and sort and then even play with. We're just talking about the storage. We're not even talking about playing. You know, when you want to play a game, for example, I play this game I love. It's a really fun game, Chronicles of Drenagor. But when I play that, I got to pull 7 boxes out of my shelves and have them all strewn out all over the place so we can grab whatever stupid mini we need for when we're spawning monsters. And it gets to the point where we're like, you know what? We're just going to spawn the skeleton archer anymore because I don't want to keep digging for more monsters. Just spawn him again. It's crazy. You know, this stuff becomes a burden, becomes impossible to manage, impossible to store effectively. So just always remember that, know that. And if you're new to this space, know that the Kickstarter games, especially those big campaign games, the ones with the stretch goals, they're a lot of times bigger than what you expected. I kind of talked about this earlier too. Remember that your heart is bigger than your available time to play these games. And I want to say that every game that I have, every game that's in my house that I own, I bought that game because there was a point in my life where I said I want to play that game. That means I wanted to share that experience with someone. So in my heart, I want to play everything here. The problem is in this world that we have where we are, adults in this busy modern society we live in, the available time to take away 3 hours a night or a day, whatever it may be, to play some of these games is difficult. And it's very easy to buy the game, but it's very hard to play the game. You got to learn it. You got to get people over, coordinate, and then play the game. So just remember, whenever we're buying these games, whenever we're looking at them, it's fun. This hobby's fun. This hobby's meant to be enjoyable. It's meant to have fun. But the last thing it should be doing is putting you into credit card debt or putting you in a situation of anxiety where you feel like you have too many games, or you have to chase the hotness because all the creators are talking about how great Ark Nova is or how great Heat is. Everyone's talking about these are games that are so fun and you got to go buy them right now. You don't have to do that. I had to tell myself that. You don't have to do that. You don't have to buy these games. Slow down. And if I have to tell you that, I would love to tell you that. Don't buy them. Don't back them. Slow down. Play what you have. Enjoy the game. One of my friends mentioned to me that they are doing a 10 by 10 challenge. That's an incredibly cool thing to do. I wish I could play a 10 by 10 challenge. And a 10 by 10 is where you take 10 games and you're going to play them 10 times over the year. You're really going to dive into a game and really enjoy that game. And I think that's interesting because you can actually see a lot more nuances with that title the more you play it, the more you delve into it. I think it's so cool. As a creator, it's hard for me to even play a game more than 3 times before I have to move on to the next because you have to constantly be playing all the games. I hate it. It really drives me nuts. I'm not going to lie. But I would never think anyone should do the same. Enjoy the games, slow down. You don't have to buy it. We don't have as much time, but live your life. in a way that, and cherish the moments, I guess I should say. I don't know. I'm kind of getting a little lost in my head here. I'm getting a little emotional. So I hope this helped you guys. I know I talked a lot, I rambled a lot, but I do think there is a part of our industry that pushes selling games or buying games, and not a lot of voices are ever telling you to slow down or wait, or you don't need this product. So I just wanted to be that voice and help you guys, because I'm there too. I'm there with you. I buy these games. I spent way more money than I should have getting into this hobby, and I just want to protect people, or at least warn people before you do the same. And I think it's interesting. There's a thing I truly believe, though, that you can warn people about something until your face is blue, or whatever the term is. But until they experience it for themselves, they're not truly going to understand what you mean. And I think this is probably one of those situations too, where people new in the hobby might not understand the anxiety or the stress or the cost that this hobby can create. And so I just want to make sure you're aware of that, and so then that they don't get themselves put into debt or something. So anyways, that's Brian from Game Brigade. I hope this video was valuable. I hope it wasn't too random and too crazy. Let me know what you guys think. I will talk to you very soon. See you at Dice Tower West. Bye-bye.